So this week, you are going to work on creating an article summary. Now, before we go any further, I need you to fully understand that you and your group will combine all of your article summaries, all your research, and create your informal report based on all the research that you've done. Pardon me. It's going to take probably 6 to 15 different researched articles that you're going to end up putting in your references, doing in-text citations, those kind of things for. But for the article summary, you're only going to choose one each. The thing I need you to understand is that this one article that you're writing your article summary on is not going to be enough information for you to finish your actual informal report. But I'm only having you do the article summary on one so that you get experience and practice with how to write an article summary. In the business world, you're going to find that there's oftentimes when you need to write something similar to this to express to your manager, your CEO, someone above you, some kind of research that you've done, especially if you're trying to introduce a new idea to the company or a new project. That's where things like article summaries are going to be required in the workplace. So I want to make sure that you have the opportunity to learn how to write those now. So in the week 7 folder at the end of the folder there, you're going to see right here's where you're going to submit your article summary. And I want to kind of walk you through how this is done. The textbook does go over it a little bit, but I'm going to give you a couple of pointers. So follow here with me. So this is an example of an article summary that I wrote, I don't know, a few years back. And this is a prime example of what is needed. So we are going to do this in email format. I want you to get a little more practice with that. Okay, so remember this portion, that to, from, CC, and subject, along with that line underneath, that all goes in the heading, not the header, right? Up here, this is the header. We're not putting our information there, we're putting it in the heading. And remember, that's because we do not want it to transfer to the next page, right? If I had it in the header, then that would be up here on that page too, and I don't want that. I just need it as a heading. All right, that's the difference in those two words. So right here, and also make sure that you are sending it to whoever your group decided that you are sending to, right? Whether you are sending it to the head of the committee, the CEO, whoever, make sure they have a name and an email in there. All right, just like this. And then it is from you, and it is CC'd to all of your group members. So you need to include that CC to all of your group members. And if you could do me a favor and go ahead and put your group number on there as well as a CC, that would be fantastic. Under subject, you're going to literally write article summary, colon, and then in parentheses, not parentheses, in quotation marks, the name of your article. Okay, so that's your subject line. Nice and easy. All right. This first paragraph here is all about what was requested, right? So you're making the assumption that the CEO or the head of your committee, whatever, has requested that you do some research. And so this is in response to your request for more information about whatever you're doing the research on. Okay. And then you're going to go into a little more detail about what that is. And then you're going to report purpose and research method. So you need to read the entire article first, and then you need to, in your own words, very briefly, describe what the purpose was originally of that article. Why did they write that article? And what research methods did they use to develop the information or the framework of that article? So this is all things that you need to think critically about and put a nice paragraph together for that. Now we get into the major findings, and the major findings is literally section by section, a very brief synopsis of what that section was about. So let me show you what that means. So the original article that I used was this one here. Oops, let me go back up. So this is the original article that I wrote that article summary from. And if you look right here, right, my major findings, purchasing and leasing decisions, that's a major heading. And when we go back to the actual article right there, purchasing versus leasing decisions, that's in bold with a colon, and then your brief, in your own words, description of what that whole section was about. What did it mean? What was the purpose? Those kind of things. Then if we go back and look at the next section, let's see. Reimbursement for personal use, right? Salesperson reimbursement for use of his or her vehicle for business use. And when we go back to the summary, reimbursement of personal vehicle for business use. So this one I did take a little bit of leeway with the way that it was titled, but only a little, because this was very specific to what my CEO was looking for versus the way that this is worded. It was a little bit too flabby. Okay, so I just shortened it a little bit, but you can see it's almost identical. And in that section, gotta go back. In this section, very briefly describe what that was about, right? So according to the article, this seems to have a lower financial cost to the company. However, it does place many limitations and potential setbacks for the company. So this was really important, because this is really what they were looking for. They wanted to know, was that personal vehicle use going to be financially something that was cost efficient for the company? And so I read that and I applied that information in a way that was functional for the company, but also stuck to what the article was actually stating. All right, so we go to the next section. Measurement of intangible factors, and a brief synopsis of what that talked about, right? With a small, there was one number that I found was very specific to the research that I was doing. And so that information was included in my article summary because it was valuable to the final research, okay? So facts and figures, those things only need to be included in your article summary if it has a value, if you think you're actually going to input it into your research. So something like cost per square foot might be something that you need for yours. So you might include what that estimated cost per square foot was in your article summary, okay? And then finally, as you get to the conclusion, this conclusion is not about what the article summary or the article has as a conclusion, so much as it is, hold on, let me come down here. Right. So there is a conclusion on here, but that's not the way that my conclusion is written in the article summary. The conclusion in the article summary is more about what did you find in this article that applies directly to the research that you're trying to do, right? The paper that you're trying to write, how can you apply the most important factors of what you found out to your informal report. All right, so here again, this is about critically thinking about your article and then how are you going to actually use it in your report. All right, so that is kind of a brief idea of how this is written. As you can see, it's not super long. Typically, it goes to about a page, page and a half, 2 pages if it's a really long article, but that's usually about it. The main idea here is that once you've read the article, you want to take and really critically think, okay, how can this be applied? And that's what you're actually writing in this article summary, is how you're going to apply the information that you learned. Last but not least, you are going to need to make sure to include your reference, okay? I'm going to show you in a separate video how to create this as its own page, because it should be its own page. You do not want it to be just at the end of your article. So we're going to look at that in our next video. So I hope this helps. Remember, you need to do the article summary itself for just one article to turn in, but you're going to need to research several different places for each person in your group so that you have enough information to actually compile your informal report. Again, somewhere between 6 and 15 even, depending on the quality of what you find. Okay. All right. So have a great day. If you have any questions, please let me know and I will be more than happy to answer them.